Good morning, everybody. Wow, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm very happy to be here. Tech is always a very interesting thing. I've been asked to speak on the topic Emerging Talent to Leader, Shaping Growth and Innovation. I think I'll just tell my story, how it all started. I'm sure a number of people here use Piggy. If you use PiggyVest, can I see your hands up? Oh, wow. We still have a lot of work to do. Okay. I mean, some very exciting things coming this year. This year is going to be very, very interesting. Starting from Q1, some very interesting products coming, but I'll get to that. So, again, good morning, everyone. My name is Joshua. I'm one of the co-founders of PiggyVest, and I also happen to be Chief Marketing Officer. Very interesting title because I never thought that I'll be doing anything that I'm doing today from when I was in school. In fact, I'll just go way back. I thought I was going to be a maths teacher, actually. I loved mathematics in school. I was the best student in further maths and geography. I wasn't best in maths, and that really pained me a lot. I made a mistake in one question, and it was so annoying. And that was how I lost best in maths. But yes, I thought I was going to be a maths teacher until my uncle, one of my uncles, who is now a director at System Specs, he lived in our house for about 12 years, and he loved computers. So he was the one that introduced me to computers. And that's how I got very interested in computers at the time. And for my university, I said I was going to study computer science, and that's how I studied computer science in university. I went to school, a school at Covenant University. Do we have Covenant graduates here? Oh, hello. Yeah, I went to Covenant University in 2008 to study computer science. Again, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life or anything. I just knew I loved solving problems. Fast forward, first year, I was still that very brilliant student in my first year. Second year, I started to do all sorts of things, and my grades started to fall. I think my journey to entrepreneurship started in my 300 level when I went for my IT. I did my IT at Total Nigeria PLC's downstream sector. So my department was the department that was in charge of refilling fuel cards for drivers at the time. So companies who didn't like to give their drivers cash to buy fuel will give them cards, Total cards at the time, and they would come to the office to come load it up. That was the department I worked in. But the process of loading that card was very cumbersome, right? So they'll come with their tellers from the bank, and I would have to go look for 1, 2, 3 signatures from different offices before I now take the card to the back office to be loaded. So for my final year project, I said I was going to automate that entire process. I also wanted to build a software for them and actually sell it to them. So we did that. I went back to school. I met up with my friend Sumto. Sumto is the CEO of PiggyVest today. Met up with my friend in school. At the time, Sumto was a very interesting person. Sumto was building robots in school. He built an aeroplane, actually built an aeroplane in school. I'm sure he'll tell the story one day. The airplane flew a bit, but it didn't really fly, but yeah, tried. Very exciting guy. And then he wanted to build this, I think it was the cafeteria. He wanted to automate the cafeteria system in school. And he contracted a developer, and the developer was wasting his time. So he learned how to code. So he studied mechanical engineering, so he learned how to code. And he built it himself and did all sorts of things. So I knew he could code, so I went to him to say, okay, there's this opportunity, we need to seize it, it's a software for Total, let's build it, and we started building together. And that was how the journey started. So we started building software, websites, applications for different things, and that's how we started. Went for meetings for 2 years, nothing came out of it, but it was an experience, right? At the end of the day, Total told us that their head office in France had built something for them. Again, it was sad, but lessons learned. A few years down the line, they would later call us to come and build something for them and actually pay us. So it was worth it in the end. But that experience was what began the journey, right? I remember then when we used to go from school to have meetings at Total just to, get them to hear what we have to say or what we built, see what we've built. And that's how we created a team that was responsible for basically building software for companies. And then we started trying out new ideas. This was 2013, 2014, 2012, right? That was the period where tech began to boom in Nigeria. I think there were the likes of, Iroko TV at the time, Hotels.ng at the time. Very, very interesting startups, people doing different things. Jumia, Konga, all of those things. And that was also the period that I think Uber launched, globally. And we decided to try our hands on Uber-like models. So we created a bunch of startups very, very quickly. There was 99 staff, there was Household. These were all startups we created way before Piggy Bank was born that actually failed. There were about 5, 6 of them. There was one until we launched Push CV. So Push CV was the one that pretty much saw the light of day. How many of you know about Push CV? Oh, interesting. Okay, nice. Yeah, so Push CV at the time was rivaling Jobberman. We were offering pre-screened candidates. So the value proposition was we would pre-screen the candidates, take them through a series of tests, and then pass them on to companies if they qualify. Very interesting model. We had some very big clients, like Union Bank at the time. We helped them manage their graduate trainee program. So while that was doing okay, we got into an accelerator, right? And that's something that I like to point out because there isn't much you can learn by yourself, right? You have to speak to people, you have to talk to people. So we got into a lot of these accelerators that pretty much taught us how to build, how to tell a story, how to form business models, how to do several things, right? So it was called LeadPad at the time. They were an incubator in Yaba. That time, Yaba was very hot. I don't know about now. But yeah, it was in Yaba at the time where like co-working with some people doing other very interesting stuff. And that's how we continued to build. Push CV at the time, I remember I was making around 5,000 Naira in revenue every day. And that's why we got in, right? Because there was some prospect. And then we continued, we did some growth hacking. And that was how I, found my niche, right? I realized that because there are some things you get into today that you require personnel skills that are inborn, right? Knowing how to convince people, knowing how to talk to people, right? Those are some of the things that I learned very, very early about myself that just pushed me into the path I'm in right now. Also, I really loved when things looked nice. So in my 200 level, I was trying my hands on design, right? I started using Photoshop a lot, started designing stuff, right? So I loved when things look, even though I dropped it, but I can tell when a design is nice or when it's not, right? I can give feedback, right? So I think all of that shaped my journey from just a student who didn't know what they wanted to do with their lives to becoming a customer experience expert at the time. So my journey to marketing was through customer success, and I'll talk a bit more about that today. You learn as you go, right? You learn as you go. Then we didn't have a lot of money for marketing. What is known as marketing these days is, you can put up billboards all around Lagos, or you can send emails, or you can do all sorts of things. But I think one of the things that I used, growing was I used to watch a lot of Apple videos. If you're in marketing, you should actually go back and watch how the iPhone 5 was released, right? Watch that video very well. These were things that we had to look at, right? So marketing is both art and science, right? But at the time, there was not a lot of money to do all those very expensive videos or run ads everywhere. So it was, how can we make a difference, right? We launched something called, again, as you all know, the story was someone broke a box. The person had saved 365,000 naira from putting aside 1K in a box every day, broke the box, put it online, it went viral, and a lot of people wanted to save. And then we saw it and we decided to automate that entire process, right? And it was not like we really knew what was going to happen. We're like, okay, if we can get 1,000 people to save 1,000 naira every day, that would be good. But then there were a lot of questions around, okay, who's backing you? How are you going to scale this? All of these things. But I think the big thing was, if we hadn't failed at all those other startups that we launched, I don't think we would have been able to launch Piggy Bank and scale it the way we did. So failure is important, very, very important, right? You learn a lot when you actually do things. I tell some people that, we hired today, tell them, okay, be curious, ask questions, but try out stuff. I would give you the liberty to try out stuff. And if you fail, you have to learn from it, right? You tell me what you learned about how this campaign went or what you're going to do differently later. So that's how we launched that product. Again, like I said, there was no money to market. The only angle we had was providing good service, right? And that was what I pretty much did. So in the very, very early stages, I was picking up the calls, I was replying emails, I was responding to DM inquiries on both Twitter and Instagram. And that was how we were getting direct feedback from users. So users are saying something, we're fixing it and launching a new product the next day. That was literally how it was going. So it was all hands on deck. We didn't have to hire anybody because we're a large team. If you know the story of the founding team, we're about 7, but for PiggyVest, we're 3 co-founders. So we did a lot of things together, right? It was pretty much customer support. Customer support was the angle, and we scaled with that over time. And then from that, we now started to try out other things. I'm sure you guys saw our Big Brother campaign in 2021, 2022. Very interesting experiment. And then we started to do a lot more traditional stuff, a lot more outdoor stuff. But everything was a process. Everything was a process. I remember talking to a lot of people about, how could this be? How could that be? But for us, it was more about selling value. And that's one thing we learned from, watching a lot of Apple videos. There's something about storytelling, right? There's something about carrying your users along from the beginning, especially when you've already hit product market fit. And that was pretty much what we leveraged, right? So again, did not know what this was going to be. Started out, just an ordinary talent. Today, we're doing quite a lot of things, across different products, and it's been incredible to witness. But I think my lesson today is you need to spot opportunities and take it, right? Sometimes your boss might not be able to tell you what to do. You have to identify that you have to see that there's a problem, there's a gap, and there's something you need to fill, and then go ahead and do it. I have a staff who started out as an intern. She was earning less than 50K. And before she left us to start her own business, she was earning over 1.3 million in about 4 years, right? And that's because she pretty much took up space. She wasn't waiting for, I'm just waiting for what my boss would tell me to do. It's just she identifies that, okay, there's a gap, there's something here, and she's doing it, right? So if you're working in a startup that has product market fit already and doing very excellently well, you will most likely be in a situation where you're required to do more than what you're paid to do. Please just do it. In the very early stages of your career, it's very important that you're a generalist. Trust me, it will help you as you go further. It's very, very important that you're a generalist. Just do whatever it is that you're being asked to do. Yes, the pay might not be equal to the work, but you're building your experience. And you can only build experience by doing. Nobody will pay you. Like, I've learned over time that years of experience is actually key. Like, people pay for that. Like, today, I will pay for that. right? So it's important that you have the experience. Nobody's going to ask you, oh, how much have you earned in the last? No, it's your years of experience. What do you know how to do? What have you done, right? And I see that a lot of people are trying to come into tech these days. You know, how do you go about it? How do you move your career from, you know, where you are to where you need to be? You just need to do things. You need to try out things. You need to work in an environment where you are allowed to be creative. And even if you're not allowed, try and think about things that you can do. Honestly speaking, don't limit yourself to whatever it is you're being asked to do. That's one thing I always say. Learn to take initiative. Learn to do things beyond what you're even paid to do. It will, honestly, it will really help. Right? I hope I haven't taken too much time, but I just wanted to just quickly just leave that on the table. Is there questions or anything? That's it? Okay. All right, cool. All right. Thank you, everyone.